Good morning, Antelope Valley. I'm Vicky coming to you from Channel 105 News. Today I'm going to be giving you some local news. On November 14th, a 16-year-old decided to bring a dangerous weapon on campus in Santa Clarita, California, just about an hour and a half from here. The shooting in Sawgrass High School took place before classes were in session, which gave some students the opportunity to run and others the opportunity to hide. Unfortunately, the 16-year-old shot a fellow student, which was also 16, and another 14-year-old student who ended up being killed that same day. And the shooter himself ended up in the hospital as well in critical condition after shooting himself in the head. 3 other students were also hospitalized, but fortunately are in better condition now that the event is over with. The school security camera was able to cover footage of the student and was later identified as Nathaniel Burhow, and he was seen pulling out a .45 caliber pistol from his backpack as he proceeds to attack his 5 classmates. Detectives believe that Burhow actually sent out some threats on Twitter, which was believed to actually be threats to the school, which no one actually caught on time. 2 days later, after the school shooting, Burhow died in the hospital because of the self-inflicted gunshot, which ultimately he couldn't recover from and ended up killing him. It's a sad day in America, but also in California. That shooting was marked as the 29th shooting in California over the past 2 decades, which means that's 1 shooting in a school year with a few in between. Today, it's so scary for teachers to send their children off to school to get the education that they deserve. It's also hard for teachers to go off and do their jobs, and it's most importantly and really sad, but it's scary for students to go off to school 5 days a week, up to 8 hours a day sometimes, to try to get their education when there could be an incident going on, which happens a lot often. Looking forward, I think that it would be ideal and a really good idea for the government or something to do something about the gun law controls that we have today. It's very unfortunate that there are so many school shootings, not even school shootings, but also shootings all around, whether it be at the Walmart, neighborhoods. It's going on very often, and I don't think there's any exception as to why some kids or even some people should even be able to carry these weapons that are ultimately meant to kill. So with that being said, that marks 29 school shootings in California over the past 2 decades. That's very heartbreaking, and I think that the numbers should decrease in the future. Something should be done in order to save and protect people all around the world, not only California but all around the world. That being said, now we're going to hear from Morgan about national news in the United States.
Thanks, Vicky. Hello, everybody. I'm Morgan, and today I'm going to be talking about some nationwide news. So the topic we're going to be discussing today is how Walmart employees aren't paid extra on Thanksgiving, shoppers threatening to boycott the company. So Walmart shoppers are threatening to boycott the store after discovering employees aren't being paid extra to work on Thanksgiving. Instead, Walmart offers them 10% and 15% discounts to shop in its stores. The 15% discount is only available on December 5th and December 6th of this year. Walmart said the policy has been in place for 3 years. And I quote from Walmart, "We simplified our paid time off policies in 2016 to combine vacation, holiday, sick, and personal time into one bucket." Walmart said in a statement, "As part of that change, we no longer offer holiday pay. We did this to give our associates greater flexibility and more choice to use their time off when and how they want to. Also, as part of that change, associates can now roll over and cash out unused time off at the end of the fiscal year. While retailers are not legally required to pay employees overtime for working on holidays, many do, including Target, Macy's, JCPenney, just about a lot of stores basically in the United States do. And that was according to Business Insider. Because of Walmart's policy, some shoppers are threatening to boycott and are asking others to do the same. So we have this tweet up from Nancy Armstrong stating, she said, please boycott at Walmart. Instead of paying their employees properly for working on holidays, they give them a cheap discount that they have to spend their money at the store to use. This has to be one of the really rotten places to work. Another one from Rock Drummer from Twitter. Walmart didn't pay their employees OT wages for working on Thanksgiving. Only a 10% discount at their store. And we have another one from John Price. Shame on you, Walmart, taking away holiday pay from your associates, those driving your bottom line. You should be ashamed of yourselves. And we have a caller calling us right now, and we're gonna hear her thoughts, he or she, hers or his thoughts on this whole Walmart controversy. So, who do I have here?
Courtney Soriano.
And what are your thoughts on Walmart not paying their employees for holiday work?
I think that's really unfair, and I feel bad for the employees. I think that if they worked on Thanksgiving or any holiday, they should be paid double pay like any other company would do.
Definitely. Any other thoughts on the topic, or?
Like I said, I feel bad for the employees. You know, they should be compensated for working on holidays.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
All right, so that's it about our nationwide news. Now I'm going to transfer over to Daniel to hear about some sports news.
Thanks, Morgan. Here's what's going on in sports. If you've been a fan of LA teams recently, you've been having a good year so far to the start of basketball season. Both the Lakers and Clippers are off to a great start. The Lakers off to a 17-3 start. That's their best record in 7 years after having 7 long years if you've been a fan of them. They got Anthony Davis in the offseason via trade. They already had LeBron. They put the pieces together, bringing in guys like Danny Green and surprising guys like Dwight Howard, who was here before but didn't have a really good year. Things ended badly, and now he's back and he's been performing. For the Clippers, you guys did the unthinkable, and you guys got Kawhi Leonard, and you guys got Paul George, 2 guys who wanted to be in LA. They said preferably Lakers, but they ultimately went to the Clippers, and they've been off to a great start themselves. Both teams have high expectations going into the season because of it, and so far it's been living up to their expectations. And both are expected to meet up for the first time in the playoffs in the Western Conference Finals, as both teams are the pinnacle of the NBA right now. Moving over to the NFL, it's not the same good news for the LA teams. The Chargers, who last year made it to the AFC Championship, are off to a terrible start. They're not going to the playoffs. They're under 500. They lost again in the most Charger fashion yesterday with a pass interference or whatever it was in a game-winning field goal attempt by their opposing team. Meanwhile, the Rams, after going to the Super Bowl, after having such a great year last year, losing to the Patriots ultimately, they've struggled this season. It doesn't look like they're going to make the playoffs, although they still have a chance given tonight's outcome between Seattle and Minnesota. They're 2 games behind Minnesota, so the Rams, the only thing they can do now is keep winning and hope Minnesota loses out, because Seattle seems like a good team. San Francisco, on the other hand, they're off to a surprising best start for them, led by their defense, which has been incredible. The Oakland Raiders, they looked like they were gonna be contenders, and they end up losing to the Jets, who are not that good. So it's another Raiders season that's just awful if you're a fan of theirs. I think we can all guess who's been pretty good in the AFC again for another year. That's the Patriots, but they did lose yesterday in Sunday Night Football to the Houston Texans. And they also have contender in the Baltimore Ravens with MVP candidate Lamar Jackson, who has been incredible, as he led the Ravens against the Niners, who had the best record at 10-1. They're now turned 10-2, tied with the New Orleans Saints for his best record going into the playoffs. The Ravens also are tied with the Patriots going into the playoffs for the best home record. It's been a great NFL season, and the playoffs surely expect to be even better. So at your updating sports this week, Now I hand you over to Alyssa, who's going to bring you some news coming from around the world.
Thanks, Daniel, for the update on what's going on in sports right now. Now let's hear about some worldwide news. More than 60 doctors have written an open letter about Julian Assange's health being so awful that the WikiLeaks founder could die in prison in his top security British jail. The 48-year-old Australian is still fighting a US bid to extradite him from Britain on charges filed under the Espionage Act that could see him given a sentence of up to 175 years in a US prison. In the letter to the British Home Secretary, the doctors called for Assange to be moved from British Belmarsh prison in southeast London to a university teaching hospital. They based their assessment on harrowing eyewitness accounts of his 21 October court appearance in London and a 1 November report by Nils Melzer, the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Torture. The independent UN rights expert said Assange continued exposure to arbitrariness and abuse may soon end up costing his life. Assange used WikiLeaks to publish classified military and diplomatic files in 2010 about US bombing campaigns in Afghanistan and Iraq that proved highly embarrassing to Washington. We write this open letter as medical doctors to express our serious concerns about the physical and mental health of Julian Assange, the doctors said in their 16-page open letter. They said they had concerns about Mr. Assange's fitness to go through the full extradition hearing, which is set for February. Mr. Assange requires urgent expert medical assessment of both his physical and psychological state of health, they wrote. Any medical treatment indicated should be administered in a properly equipped and expertly staffed university teaching hospital. We have real concerns on the evidence currently available that Mr. Assange could die in the prison. The medical situation is urgent. There is no time to lose. The doctors are from the United States, Australia, Britain, Sweden, Italy, Germany, Sri Lanka, and Poland. At his first appearance in public for 6 months in a court hearing last month, Assange seemed rather frail. He also appeared confused whenever he was asked any questions about his hearing in the Westminster Magistrates Court in London. He seemed to have difficulties recalling his birth dates, and at the end of the hearing told the judge, Vanessa Brewster, that he had not understood what had just happened in court. He also complained about the conditions in which he was being kept at in Belmarsh. It was the first public appearance since being dramatically dragged from Ecuador's embassy in April. Thank you. That's it for your worldwide news from Channel 105. Tune in tomorrow morning for your daily update on what's happening locally, nationwide, worldwide, and a touch on sports. This has been Alyssa Julio signing off.